Where we last left off, we had successfully installed WordPress, we created our database, and we created a handful of dummy posts. So now we're going to build a custom theme, a very, very minimal custom theme. Close out Chrome, and now we need to browse to our folder and drag it into our code editor. Now, what you'll see here is a handful of files that allow for the WordPress framework. However, what we specifically need is to go into WP Content, Themes, and you can see here the 2010 theme is the default theme that's installed with every WordPress installation. We're going to create our new theme, so new folder, and we'll call this mobile theme. Now within here, you need two files to signal to WordPress that you have a custom theme. So first we'll create a file, and this will be index.php, and for now, we'll just type hello world. Save that. Now, we also need a style.css file, so I'll create that as well. Now, to notify WordPress that this is a theme, we add a bit of comments to the top. I'll paste that in. So you can see within comments, we just have theme name, the URI. Here I just have it directing to NetTouch, but you would ideally place this wherever it needs to be. A description, the version, the author, and then any tags that you would like to have included. So with those two files alone, if we come back, now we can install this theme. So I will go to Appearance, Themes, and now if we scroll to the bottom, we've yet to add a featured image, what you can do as well by creating a screenshot.png file and placing that within the root of your WordPress installation. However, we do have it, and notice that it picks up my comments like so. So we will activate the theme, and when we come back and refresh the page, sure enough, we see hello world. Very cool. So now we can build our custom theme. There are best practices when building WordPress themes, like creating header files and footer files. We're not building a full WordPress theme that goes way beyond the boundaries of this screencast series. I simply want to show you how to take dynamic content and wrap it around jQuery mobile. So that's what we're going to do. We'll simply build 2 pages here, so don't worry. So first I'm going to insert my little jQuery mobile boilerplate. Always helpful to have a snippets program. You're very familiar with this by now. We have our script files, our style sheet, our header, our main content, and our footer. So let's save that, and now if we come back, refresh the page, we have a WordPress theme wrapped around jQuery mobile. So now let's get that dynamic content and bring it into play. So we'll begin by saying page title, let's change that. And we're going to say blog info title. And now we get mobile theme. So already with one line of code, we have a dynamic site. It doesn't do very much, but we do have a dynamic site. And in the page footer, we'll simply hard code this in by Jeffrey Way. All right, so now this page content needs to grab the titles of all of the postings within WordPress. So we learned that when we're creating lists, it's helpful to use the list view control. UL data role equals list view. All right, within here, we're going to use a PHP while statement. And what it's going to do is it's referred to as the WordPress loop, and it will filter through all of the postings within the WordPress database, within the posts database, and do whatever we want with them. So we create the WordPress loop by doing if have posts. So we're saying to WordPress, if you have any posts, then while you have posts, we're going to filter through them, the post. And then we're going to use the shorthand form here, and I'm going to end my while statement and end the if statement that we did above here, while if. So now within here, if I were to just type hello world, and we come back, you're going to see that repeated 4 times. And how come? You'll see that because there are specifically 4 posts here. So that's going to run for every single post that you have here. However, of course, we don't want hello world. We want some dynamic content here. So I'm going to say PHP the title. And what this will do is for every posting, it's going to grab the title for that posting and place it within an H2 tag. So let's come back. And sure enough, we have my 3rd post, my 2nd post, my 1st post, hello world. So as you know now, how to work with jQuery mobile. As soon as you create a new posting, that will be registered by the WordPress loop and it'll be added. Very cool. However, that doesn't work, right? So let's make sure we can't just place an H2 within an unordered list. We need it within a list item. So we'll place that as well. And now we've triggered the list view, and now we're starting to get a nice layout. If I scroll this down to the way it would look on the iPhone or Android, click on it, and nothing's going to happen just yet, but we do have the beginnings of a mobile-based site. Very cool. So we have a heading to tag, but we want this to link, of course, to the full posting, correct? So let's wrap that within an anchor tag. That makes sense. And because I don't have much space here, I'm going to place this all on its own line. Like so. And I'm also going to grab this and push it back just so I have a little bit more room to work with. So come back, refresh the page, and now they're clickable links, and you'll see that the cursor is above them, and you get a little bit of feedback when you hover over. So if I click on this, nothing's going to happen just yet because we haven't directed anywhere. So within WordPress, to direct a user to the permanent link to the posting, you use the permalink. The permalink. WordPress is very easy to use if you've never used it before. And now if I click on it, that directs us to a new page, as you can see right there. However, because we don't have a single posting specific template, this is going to be used to display the single posting. That doesn't make much sense. What we need instead is a very specific template page that will handle the process of displaying a full posting. We'll get there shortly. We want to do a little bit more though on this first page. What if maybe under the title we added a little bit of a description? Maybe if we wanted, we could even add a thumbnail. Maybe we'll go back and do that. And also, I think it would be helpful to have the comment count pushed all the way to the right. So if we did below the H2 tag, and we'll fix this shortly, but we did PHP comments number, and this will accept 3 parameters. The first one is going to be what should be displayed if there's 0 comments. We'll do 0. What should be displayed if there's 1 comment? 1. And then what if there's more than 1? We'll do percentage. And the reason is because if you just had the word comments, well, that would work for 0 comments or 5 comments, notice the plural, but it wouldn't make sense for 1 comment. It would be 1 comment. So this is the way you get around that. So let's come back and whoops, let's make sure we place that within quotes, of course. Sorry about that. And now, of course, we have the total number of comments. So if we come back, and we don't have a comment system set up just yet. However, you can see that the default Hello World posting, they do create 1 comment for you, and that's recognized right there. However, I don't want that here. I want it in a little bubble all the way to the right. So let's return to our theme, and rather than placing it within a p tag, we're going to place it within a span, and we have to give it a class again to instruct jQuery Mobile to style it accordingly. And it's going to be UI li count, and this will create the count bubble that we're familiar with. Also, I'm going to grab this and let's place it within the heading to tag. Let's try that out. And now you can see that's been placed all the way to the right. Cool, so we're starting to get a nice layout here with very little work. Next, as we noted, let's also add maybe a short excerpt just below the heading, just to see how that looks. So below the heading, we'll put that in div just in case we need to position or style it. PHP echo, and we could do the content, but that's going to be the entire posting, as you'll see right here. Now the reason why that looks okay is because the entire contents of our posting is very short. So if we were to come back and I pasted in some lorem text and we update it, when I come back and refresh the page, you're going to see that that gets cut off, as you can see right there. So let's instead use the excerpt. Now if one is not provided, they will automatically use the default number of characters. So if we were instead right here and we went down to the excerpt, this tutorial will teach you about jQuery Mobile. When that's applied, in that case, WordPress will use what you have added right there. Okay, so now we have a very nice layout. Notice also that when you have this div right here, jQuery Mobile will automatically style it just a little bit differently, as you can see right there. When you hover over it, the text turns black, but by default, it's a little bit darker. And remember, you still have themes available to you. So if you would like, you can still do data theme equals E. And that's going to be yellow. If you want blue, you could go to B. Grab that. And now you can see we built a mobile theme in a very short amount of time. So if you come back, you can also edit the header. So you could do data theme equals E. That's going to be yellow. There you go. And then you would want to do that at the bottom as well. So building a real WordPress theme, you would of course want to abstract the footer and the header and the head section to their own header.php and footer.php files respectively. However, we're not going to get that far because I don't want to get too far away from working with jQuery mobile. But cool, we've done a lot here. So now, when you click on a posting, I want it to bring us to that full posting, all right? So when I click on this one, it should display the entire posting for me. All right, so we can do that. The key is to create a new template, and this is single.php. Now this is available from WordPress, and when you create this file, it triggers WordPress into using what you have here. So if I type nothing, and I refresh the page, click on it, jQuery mobile is getting a little bit confused right now because it's trying to load this page, but it's just gibberish. There's no quote-unquote page to retrieve from this file. So for example, if you were to go back here, and when you linked to the file, we also added rel equals external. If you remember from the previous lesson, this will load the file in a new window, in which case we won't be using Ajax. So let's try that again. Refresh the page, and I click on it, and now it's going to load the file without Ajax. So keep that in mind. So what I'm going to do here, because we're trying to be very quick and we're not abstracting these out to their own files, is we're just going to copy and paste here. Though do keep in mind that now we're doubling up on the footer and doubling up on the header. Those should be in their own file if you're building your own custom mobile theme. Okay, so now we have this. So if I were to change this all, and within the list item I wrote, hello. Now let's try it and see if it works. Click it. And now we get hello. Cool. So we're in business. So within here, again, we're going to have our title, but we don't need an anchor tag because we're already on the page. And if we want the comment count, we can keep that. And now within the main content area, and you know what? Let's embrace HTML5 a bit more, and let's use the article element because that makes a little bit more sense, does it not? So I'll change that, and we'll go back to the original and change that as well. So if we go back to single.php, this time I want to display the entire posting, so I'm going to type the content rather than just an excerpt of the content. Refresh the page, and now it's starting to look a little better, but we do have some issues here. So the way we can inspect this element is within Chrome, I can right-click it and choose Inspect Element. And let's take a look, and you can see all of these classes that jQuery Mobile is applying. That way they can be taken advantage of by the jQuery Mobile style sheet. UI bar E, UI header, these are all added for us. So we have our description, and that's right here. Now, of course, the issue here is jQuery Mobile is trying to be very smart, and even though we're on a page where we're displaying the entire posting, jQuery Mobile knows that this is a list view and we probably don't want to be displaying that much information. So of course the answer is we don't need a list view here. Let's get rid of it. We're only displaying a single posting, not a list of postings, so it doesn't make much sense now, does it? So we got that. Let's save that, and now let's try it. And sure enough, now we have a normal, nice looking posting. So let's go back and start over from scratch. We have our postings, we click on one, and it scrolls over. Very cool. So now we have our first posting. Now if we go back, it's still Ajax. So let's do a couple more things here. I want to do one thing is we're going to add thumbnails to these postings, and we'll have to manually do that from WordPress. And second, let's change the transition just for fun, and we'll change it from a slide to maybe something else. So we go back to single.php, and we're going to switch to our home page. And within the anchor tag, we're going to change it to data transition. And if you remember some of them, there was a bunch. Pop. And this one's going to pop up like an alert box. Click it, and sure enough, it pops open. If we want to change it to slide down, when I click it, that one slides down. Let's try one more just to refresh your memory. Flip. And now you can see that flips around. However, keep it simple. Don't try to get too fancy. So normally the default is going to be just fine, but for fun, we're going to stick with slide down. So click posting, it slides down. If I click back, it slides up. So notice that jQuery Mobile is smart enough to do the opposite direction of the default transition that you have. And the next step is we're going to work with thumbnails. So in order to enable thumbnails in WordPress, we have to do a couple things. The first step is you have to create a functions.php file. So we'll do that right now, functions.php. Now I have created a tutorial that shows you just how to use thumbnails in WordPress, and I'll paste that in right here. It's a bit old, but it's still applicable. And if we scroll down, the first step is you need to add support for post thumbnails to your theme. So we'll save ourselves some time and copy that in. Paste that in. And then we can get rid of all of this that's not needed. And all we're saying here is if function exists, add theme support, then add theme support. And that will do it. To reference the thumbnail, as you can see in step 2, we simply insert this block of code, the post thumbnail. So I'll copy that as well, and we'll come back to our index.php file, and let's place it right here. Now remember, in order for a thumbnail to take effect with jQuery Mobile, it needs to occur first. So we'll do it right here. So we know that the source, we can use that PHP function. Whoops, we'll just grab it all right there. The post thumbnail, and then the alt, what should be the alt text? Well, let's make that the title of the posting. So PHP, the title. All right, so that by itself isn't going to do anything. If I come back and I refresh the page, you're going to get this empty thumbnail, and it's because one hasn't been added yet. So if we come back to our theme, and if we come down to the bottom, you'll see this new bar has been added, featured image. So here's where we can choose one. I don't have anything specific to use, so let's begin by just grabbing this handy dandy image we have right here. Save image as 200 by 200 is fine. And now let's try it again. So we're going to select a file, desktop 200 by 200, and now we're associating this thumbnail as the featured image, and you can give it any alt text that you want. So let's make sure we set it as thumbnail and choose use as featured image. And then when we save the changes, close this out, this has now been applied. So I will update the posting, and because within our WordPress theme, we have referenced it right here, it'll show up. Let's come back, refresh the page. Looks like it's still not showing up, so let's inspect the element and see if there was any mistake. And of course, so let's come back and it will automatically do the image for us, so I can get rid of that entirely. And sure enough, now the image is showing off to the left. So let's do a couple more. And you know what I'm going to do? Since you learned how to do the last one, I'm going to pause this and do the rest of these on my own. That way you don't have to stick around and watch. Okay, so now I have successfully added a thumbnail to each and every one of these postings. So remember, the WordPress loop will filter through all of these. So even though we've only added the post thumbnail once, that'll run for every single posting within the database. If I refresh, now you can see that those have been added. And if we bring this down really small, you can see within maybe 30 minutes, we've successfully developed a WordPress plus jQuery mobile theme. Okay, so what we have here looks really good, but I think we can do a couple more things just to tie in everything that we've learned. First, we have our count bubble right here. It would be nice if that would match the same theme as the yellow, right? Well, we can do that, and most of the time you're going to place these data attributes within the data role area. So in this case, we'll place it within the UL. If we want to style that count theme, we can do data count theme, and we're going to make this E, and that's the same yellow. And now if I refresh the page, it just adds a little bit more consistency with the header and the footer. Next, one thing that you're probably well aware of is with mobile apps, you usually have a toolbar where at the very bottom you can choose pages or posts or settings, things like that. jQuery Mobile allows for this, and technically they have it's kind of a helper data attribute that directs to the grid that we learned about using UI grid A, UI grid B. So we can place that either within the header or within the footer. Let's place it within the footer here. And the way we trigger it is by applying data role equals nav bar. So nav data role equals nav bar. Now within here, we'll create an unordered list, and here's where we're going to place our list items. So for each one, we'll add an anchor tag that directs nowhere, and we'll call this one settings maybe. So if we save that and we refresh, we've added our first bar. But what you'll see here now is when we add 2, watch what happens. They will automatically take all of the available space. Now jQuery Mobile will do this for you. So for example, if I add 3, jQuery Mobile will know that there's 3 of them there, in which case it'll use grid B for a 3-column layout, as you can see right there. And this will continue as much as you want. If we add a 4th one, it'll be added right there. Okay, so we're going to stick with 3, and we'll say settings, pages. These will be gibberish links. All right, so now we have 3 links, but we also want an icon, a nice pretty icon. So we could either use our custom icon set, or we can use one of the sprites that is built in. So here, the way we can do our icon is do data icon equals, and then one of the icons that we added here. So for settings, why don't we do something like the gear icon? Refresh, and now we have that. Next, for pages, why don't we do, oh, I don't know, why don't we do something like arrow right, maybe? Yeah. That'll be fine for now. And then for comments, we could do, I don't know, we could do a star or the grid. Comments is nice. Or we could do grid, or we could do even something like plus. Although generally that's to add something, so we'll just stick with star right now. Okay, so now you can see very easily though, we've added a settings bar. If you wanted, you could alternatively place this at the very top. Now technically, if you wanted, you could place it in the middle, but it's going to screw up just a little bit because it's then bound to margins and a width. So we'll take that, place it below the heading, and we could do this one as well if you wanted to. And you could add a different color background. The yellow probably isn't the best option there. But we'll keep it like that. And then of course you would make those link to whatever pages you needed, and those would be loaded asynchronously if possible. Now another thing we can do, as we learned in a previous lesson, is apply a filter. So data filter equals true, and this way we can now filter down the postings. So if I want anything that has hello, that'll automatically filter that down. Isn't that nice? And this is afforded to you thanks to jQuery Mobile, like so. And now I can click on that and view what I need to. Okay, so we've added a lot of really nice features. Of course, for a real WordPress theme, you'd want to take this much further and add links to your pages, as well as comments and things of that nature. However, what about the users who want to add this to their home screen to stay up to date on your website? Also make sure that you add an iPhone or an Android touch icon. And you can do that by, in the head of your document, inserting a link with a rel of Apple Touch icon. Now this is for Apple, but I've learned that it also works for Android. And make this equal to a path to your touch icon. And then when the user clicks on the plus sign on the iPhone and chooses add to home screen, it will use this icon as the main icon on their phone. Very cool. All right, so that's going to do it. Thanks so much for watching.